She was left with nothing, so she built an empire. When Alina Carter stood outside the courthouse with divorce papers in her shaking hands, the rain poured so hard it felt like the sky itself was mourning her life. 15 years. 15 years of loyalty. 15 years of believing in a man who slowly erased her. Marcus hadn't just left her, he had replaced her. A younger woman, flashier, louder. Someone who didn't remember the nights Alina stayed up helping him study, the jobs she worked while he built his career, the dreams she put on hold so he could chase his. And now? The house was in his name. The savings disappeared. Even the friends they shared had quietly chosen sides. Alina walked into a tiny, run-down apartment on the south side of Chicago with one suitcase, an old mixer, and a heart so heavy she could barely breathe. That night, she sat on the kitchen floor eating dry cereal from a mug. No furniture, no plan, no one to call. For the first time in her life, she felt invisible. Rock bottom has a sound. It's quiet. Too quiet. No one asks how your day was. No one notices if you cry. No one cares if you eat. Weeks passed. Alina applied for jobs and got rejected over and over. You're overqualified. You've been out of the workforce too long. We went with someone else. One afternoon, she opened her last electricity bill and realized she had to choose food or lights. That night, sitting in the dark, she remembered something her grandmother used to say. When life burns everything down, baby, build from the ashes. Fire clears the ground for new seeds. Alina looked at the old mixer on the counter. Baking. The one thing she never stopped loving. Her first cake order came from a neighbor who pitied her. It leaned to one side. The frosting wasn't smooth. She cried after delivering it, convinced she was foolish to even try. But the neighbor called 2 days later. Can you make cupcakes for my sister's baby shower? Then another order came. Then another. Alina stayed up until 3 a.m. some nights, flour in her hair, feet aching, whispering to herself, just one more order, just one more. She started posting photos online. At first, only 3 likes, then 10, then 50. One viral video changed everything. A slow-motion clip of her pouring glossy chocolate ganache over a cake with the caption, "Rebuilding my life one cake at a time." Millions of views. Orders flooded in so fast she couldn't keep up. 2 years later, Ashes and Sugar Bakery opened its doors. Warm lights, gold lettering, lines around the block. Alina stood behind the counter in a tailored blazer, hair glowing under the lights, confidence radiating from her like sunshine after a storm. She wasn't surviving anymore. She was thriving. She hired single mothers, women starting over, women who needed second chances the way she once had. Her bakery became more than a business. It became a sanctuary. And then the past walked in. It was a Saturday afternoon when the bell above the bakery door chimed. Alina looked up. Marcus. Older, tired. The expensive confidence he once wore like armor was gone. His new business had failed. The flashy life he chose had faded. He didn't recognize her at first. Hi. Is the owner here? I wanted to ask about catering. Alina walked around the counter. I'm the owner. The color drained from his face. Alina? She smiled, calm, untouchable. Yes, welcome to my bakery. He glanced around at the packed shop, the display cases, the awards on the wall, the framed article from a magazine calling her the woman who turned pain into power. I had no idea, he whispered. She did. That was the difference. The sweetest revenge. He tried to talk, to explain, to apologize, but Alina had already forgiven him, not for him, but for herself. I hope life treats you better. I truly do. No anger, no bitterness, no need to prove anything. Because the greatest revenge isn't destruction, it's evolution. Marcus walked out carrying a business card for catering services. Nothing more. Alina turned back to her staff, laughing as one of the kids she hired smeared frosting on her apron. The shop smelled like vanilla and fresh bread. Her life smelled like freedom. What they don't tell you about comebacks. They're not loud. They're not fast. They're built in silent nights when no one claps for you. Alina didn't win by hurting the man who broke her. She won by becoming a woman he could never reach again. And every time someone asked her how she did it, she smiled and said, I just kept going when quitting would have been easier. Because sometimes the woman they thought they destroyed is just the woman who hasn't risen yet. Became untouchable. Success didn't change Alina overnight. It revealed who she had always been. Ashes and Sugar Bakery became the heart of the neighborhood. Every morning, the smell of cinnamon rolls drifted into the street, pulling people in like a warm memory. Women came not just for cakes, but for hope. Alina made it her mission to hire those society overlooked. Single moms, women leaving toxic marriages, women rebuilding after loss. She didn't just sign paychecks, she listened to stories, she gave second chances, and in helping them stand, she stood taller too. But life, as always, had another test waiting. The copycat. One afternoon, her manager rushed into her office. Alina, you need to see this. A new bakery had opened just 3 blocks away. Same warm colors, similar menu, even the slogan was suspiciously close. Sweet Beginnings. And the owner? Marcus's new girlfriend, the same woman he had left Alina for. At first, it hurt. Not because of competition, but because it felt like her past was reaching forward, trying to pull her backward. Customers started whispering. Some split their business. A food blogger posted a comparison article. Drama sells, the comment said. Her staff worried. Sales dipped for a few weeks. But Alina did something no one expected. She didn't attack. She elevated. Instead of gossip, she launched a free weekend baking class for single mothers. Instead of competition, she started a mentorship program. Instead of copying trends, she created a signature dessert, the Phoenix Cake, a layered masterpiece with caramel, chocolate, and a golden sugar flame on top. It went viral. News stations showed up, magazines wrote features, her story reached national television. And when a reporter asked about the rival bakery, Alina simply smiled. There's room for everyone at the table. I'm just focused on baking my own future. Class, grace, power. 6 months later, the copycat bakery closed. Not because Alina crushed them, because authenticity can't be faked. One evening, as Alina locked up, she saw a familiar figure sitting on the bench outside. Marcus's ex-girlfriend. Eyes tired, pride gone. I thought copying you would make me you, but I don't have your strength, she admitted quietly. Alina sat beside her. Strength recognizes pain even in former enemies. You don't need to be me, Alina said softly. You just need to be honest about who you are. She offered her a job interview the next day, not out of pity, out of power. Because healed people don't destroy, they transform. Years passed. Ashes and Sugar became a brand, then a chain, then a foundation that funded women-owned small businesses. Alina was invited to speak on stages she once only saw on TV. Her voice was calm, confident, filled with hard-earned wisdom. One night, standing backstage before a major conference, she looked in the mirror. Gone was the woman crying on a kitchen floor in the dark. In her place stood a leader, a builder, a woman who turned pain into purpose. Full circle. After one of her speeches, a young woman approached her in tears. "I'm where you were," she whispered. "Alone, starting over, scared." Alina held her hands. "So was I," she said gently, "and look what grew from that soil." She handed her a business card, not just for the bakery, for the foundation, for a future. The legacy of a comeback. Revenge had once seemed like fire. Now she understood the truth. Fire can destroy, but it can also forge steel. The people who broke her name had faded into footnotes in her story, but the women she helped, they became chapters. And every time someone walked into Ashes and Sugar for the first time, reading the gold letters on the wall, built from the ashes, they weren't just buying dessert. They were tasting proof that a woman who refuses to stay down becomes a force the world can't ignore.